closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mr. D podcast show. Today, I'm excited to have Ginger Crystal Faith on the show. She's actually a very successful real estate investor, and Ginger, looks like you've been doing this now for 30 years. That is just crazy, especially in this, and as coming back from knowing real estate, it's a very demanding field, that's for sure. And what's made you want to do this for 30 years?
Frequent naps. The truth is I do take breaks. Self-care is critical for me. And the reality is real estate has been very good to me many times where I needed to take breaks because of it, which is strange, right? So for example, I started in the 90s. I've told this story several times. I started buying apartment houses in the 90s, but then I did get burned out with a lot of things. I was going through a divorce, a hard time, but by having the real estate available and on tap, I was able to take time off to do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of healthy eating and taking care of myself because it became a tool. So I've been a lifestyle builder for my whole life, organically, never thinking about it. And so it's afforded me that luxury. So I'm not one of those grinders who just needs to count doors, because you cannot last 30 years if you just like scaling. You need to rebalance. And so there've been times where I've just literally taken time off. That doesn't mean I'm not an investor, because properties keep doing their thing, right? You have to keep managing them or managing the managers or whatever. But it does allow you, once you get involved in real estate and you understand that you can build systems, and now it's easier than ever with VAs and there's so much support. You can step back if you want to. That's how I've been able to survive and thrive for 30 years. Just use it as a tool.
Love it. I see here that you flipped at over 52 houses. So I know flipping is definitely a headache on its own. There's always surprises around the corner. So our two questions: number one, are you still flipping? And number two, what made you want to get into the flipping aspect of the real estate investment?
I'm just a curious person, and I read, and it's, let's see what this is. Let's see what this is like. But in 2009, there presented tremendous opportunities. I flipped my first house in 96, I believe. And that was cool. It was cool. But then I didn't do it for a long time because I became a mortgage broker. Because in 2001, that was a thing to do. The mortgage rates were going down finally. I bought my first house in sixplex in 94, and the interest rate was 15.5% with 2 points. And I thought I got a screaming deal.
Wow.
So right around 2001, with rates going down, I flipped over, became a mortgage broker, and then I started processing and originating hundreds of loans for people as the rates would come down and down. So it's just, real estate is very dynamic, and if you're willing to learn, you can bend and flex. But I moved to California at the same time, and so there was no deals. I'm like, there was no deals. So not until 2009, after the crash, there started becoming deals. And so I turned again. Okay, where's the opportunity here? So the opportunity was in flipping houses and in buying long-term rentals. So basically, I'm just curious about that. And if you have a good contractor, it eases the strain. Getting a good team is huge. And I've had bad teams and I've had awesome teams. And you know the difference, right? So I'd say that line, hire slow, fire fast. Okay, really, when you get contractors, interview a number of them, find out what they can do, what their specialty are, and what their prices are, and get the middle one. Maybe not the cheapy one, because they'll cut corners that'll cost you in the end. Maybe not the most expensive one because they're gouging, but somebody in the middle who understands what they're doing could be a great asset. And so it's less hassle. It is what it is, right? When you start demoing and all of a sudden you're like, oh, look at this. There's a termite infestation, or there's wood rot, or look at whatever. It is what it is. And those are my Those are my tidbits on that, on dealing with the strain. And the question, am I still flipping? I did flip a house recently, just it fell on my lap, but it's not my focus right now. And again, the market shifts, and so I'm shifting with it. Yeah.
I like that. I flipped a couple properties in my lifetime and not really so much heavy into it anymore right now. As we were doing that, I would always put in there an OS fee, and I'm sitting and the contractor's like, what the hell is an OS fee? I'm like, oh, that's my oh shit fee. When something comes up that is completely out of the blue, and I remember having one, and it was because of the city of Orlando said you have to fix this, you have to fix this sidewalk. I'm like, but
Hmm.
it's an easement. That's your sidewalk. He goes, no, no, if you want us to do a CO and whatnot, you got to fix the sidewalk. I'm like, wow. So I had to dive into my oh shit fee. Because
Yeah,
other than
right,
that, everything else was going smoothly until City Orlando got involved. So
right,
that was fun.
right. For you for having your OSV.
So you said something there because as of right now, the market to me was consistent for the past 6 to about 8 years. And then now, obviously, we see a shifts. We've seen a lot of shifts going on. So if there's an, how would you, how can an investor balance that risk right now with aggressive growth? What's your opinion on that?
I'm not an aggressive growth person, so talk to an aggressive growth guy.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you
I'm a
kind of just sit back.
lifestyle builder. I'm a lifestyle builder through and through. Okay. So for me, my real estate has to serve my lifestyle. And I work a lot. So I'm not like but I have certain things I love to do. I'm traveling to the British Virgin Islands on a private yacht cruise next month. And guess what? My real estate is funding it. So that's me. That's me. So aggressive growth, talk to the aggressive growth guy. But for right now, there is opportunity. There's always opportunity. And just like in '06, okay, we were at the top of the market. I could tell you month by month the playbook on when the crash happened and when the bottom was. I know exactly. So we're in a similar situation. Everybody's talking about the wall, the debt maturity, the wall of the debt maturity in the commercial space. Now, not so much in the residential. Okay, but there's an opportunity in commercial. So I've been studying commercial ardently for the last 2 years, and I've been with a phenomenal group of people we mastermind on how to position ourselves for success when this flip happens. And it's not going to happen with all retail. I'm not all commercial everywhere, but we've already seen it really happen with the office sector that was hammered really hard. And then now we're seeing other opportunities now, basically, for people who don't know what happened in commercial, you don't get a 30-year fixed mortgage. It's just not a deal. You get 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, seven if you're really lucky. But when people were buying properties, and things were crazy a few years ago because people were being aggressive. They're like, buy, 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 right? And crazy valuations. Nothing, things didn't work out necessarily, or they were scraping by. But now they were dealing with 3, 4% debt, and now it's 7% debt. It flips everything, and it magnifies it when you're in commercial. So right now, the opportunity is at the moment to find out situations with banks or with people who just they want to cry uncle. They need to get out for various reasons and they can't because the valuations are thrown off. So we just picked up a property in Sacramento downtown, beautiful property for the same price that the guy bought it for in 2012. He put in millions of dollars of renovation and he lost it to the bank because he got over leveraged. And so we picked it up and we're stabilizing it and it's cash flow neutral at 40% occupancy. And
So
so now once we get at 60% occupancy, it's going to be gravy. So that's where I'm looking right now, but I'm not doing it aggressively. I'm doing it intelligently.
I love that. What's your take right now on, so I see, so it looks like you're investing on the commercial side when it comes to office space. Are you investing at all when it comes into like apartment complexes?
Yeah, not anymore. I'm done with 10. I'm done with the, I'm done.
Why is
I'm
that?
done. I no, I have good tenants. Thank God. The ones I have left are good tenants. The ones I got rid of all the bad ones. The truth is, I haven't had bad residential tenants for a long time, and I have good tenants, and they're beautiful. But there comes a time in your career. Everybody, we're always reevaluating, right? I told my friend of mine that I have a midlife crisis every 5 years. and I've had it since I was 20, right? So as an entrepreneur, you're always reevaluating yourself, your lifestyle, the market. Where are you in space and time, and where do you want to be? Where are your highest values? So right now, the fact is that I've been an Airbnb Superhost among many things. And even though I hire out a lot of the help, the cleaning, the et cetera, handyman stuff, there's still the buck stops here. And so at this point, I'm like, hospitality is just, I don't want to be there anymore. It's kind of been there, done that type of thing. I've been doing it for 6 years, and I want to keep the places that I have, but I'm not wanting to grow that anymore. I'm more looking at how can I maximize my time investment, compress time, and do more in less time. So where are the sectors where I can get the biggest bang from my time buck? It's all about the time buck
Yeah.
for me right now. With 10-inch, you get the toilet stopping up in the, I have had it all, right? Phone calls in the middle of the night that there's a water leak because they went on vacation back in New England. They would turn off the water and go on vacation. Turn off the water, turn off the pipe to save money. Go on vacation, then turn it off. The pipes would burst on a second floor, and go into the basement. I get a phone call at 2 a.m. Hey, and if you hire property managers, you got to keep an eye on them. So it's just more of a hassle thing. It's fine. It's fine. There's growth there, and go for it if that's what you love. There's so much opportunity there. Right now, some very dear friends of mine are really active in the multifamily space. They do great work, but it's a kind of a been there, done that for me. And I just want like less hassle for the time that I'm investing. And so there are other asset classes that provide that. So why not go there?
No, I like that. I like that. What patterns on the market right now, like the cycles, do you see repeating today that you probably saw a few years back when you started investing?
Let's see. Everything is radically different today. I think that's what keeps us on our toes. So the interest rates were way higher than this, but the prices were lower. So there's that, right? And then they dropped considerably. Now that's back up. I'm not seeing any patterns that I would say are consistent. They're different. Yeah, they're different. I'm not saying maybe there are patterns that are consistent, but the things that a lot of people were expecting a big fat collapse in the last couple of years with COVID and everything. We didn't see that. Everything's very dynamic, and things are changing. And so it's really a matter of trying to interpret the signs that are in front of you and talking to people and find out what's going on today
Mm.
rather than relying on, because we don't have a lot of that crazy debt that we had, back in 2006. We didn't have the stated income loans. They call them liar's loans, but it wasn't. Stated income loans are not bad at all. It's just there was irresponsible use of them by greedy people. And it started way at the top. And then they blamed the mortgage brokers and the realtors, and they were just part of the game. Was when that happened with me, I have hundreds of clients, they came to me, say, hey, I lost my job and my house, I want to sell it, but I'm looking at the prices and they're not matching up. So they would come to me because I educated people about any types of loans that they came in. But we're not having that anymore. That's not something it has repeated itself. What has itself is only simply that, and it's never going to repeat. Like I was saying, the wall of maturity on the debt. But that's been consistent. Every 5 years, you have new debt on commercial properties, unless you do seller financing or something like that. That's a fresh situation because of the jacking. I don't think we've ever had. Maybe we have seen rates go from 2 to 7, like almost overnight. Wow, that's crazy. If I haven't seen it, maybe before me, that things like that happen. But yeah, so I'm not saying it'd be nice to see a pattern like you could say, oh, I can peg this and I'll just go ahead and
Mm.
do this like I did last time. But it's not that easy, right? You have to say, no, you got to pay attention to right now, because right now is different than it was in the last cycle. People are different, and technology is extraordinary now. It's a game changer. This whole the world is flat, and this is real. This is uncharted. And now AI, like what? So it would be nice. It would be nice to have patterns that you could just comfy rely on. Oh, I'll just do this again. But but I'm not seeing it. So maybe somebody else knows it, but not me.
No, yeah. So it's funny how so I remember when I first got into real estate, I got in real estate right when the market was about to crash, which obviously we didn't know that. And then I was dumbfounded by how, and at that time, I specialized in a lot of Airbnb properties. So a lot of investors coming from England, Europe, buying over here, and so, oh, okay, but and then I'm sitting there talking to the banks. They're like, listen, they need to furnish the properties. Oh, then the banker will stop me. How much do they need? On a 5 bedroom house, they'll need about 80 grand. We'll throw it into the loan. I'm like, what? We'll throw all
What
that
year
into
was that?
the.
What year was this? What year was?
That was 2008, 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and a lot, and so it pretty much they were just throwing everything into the loan. I'm like, wow, you're throwing the firm. And mind you, and this was when I was dealing with like big national builders like Lennar, and they were just throwing
Okay,
this.
true.
Yeah,
Got you.
they were just throwing them in the loan, and then
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
and it was just I'm like, wow. But then of course, what would happen is, okay, it would be a balloon rate. So they started really low, and then all of a sudden, within the fifth year, it just became okay. Now you're paying $7,000 a month, but you started at like 1,000.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, and everything was just imploding. In fact, the same client that I sold that property to, we have her house on the market and is about to go under contract for the same exact price that she bought it for back in 2009.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Wow. Wow. Crazy.
So I remember all that when you're bringing all that, man. I remember just everything. It made buying so easy for everybody, even if you didn't have the job. Yeah. Oh, you're breathing. Here's a loan. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
Big Short, right? The Big
Yeah.
Short. Big Short.
Exactly. That was crazy. All right. I'm a girl dad. I got nothing. I'm surrounded by beautiful women around me 24/7. Love my wife, loved my ladies, my two daughters. And what challenges have you seen as a woman historically and
Mm.
other women faced in this real estate investing where a lot of people think it's dominated by males?
It is dominated by males. When I first went to my first real estate meeting in the 90s, after I had bought my sixth family and I was starting to get serious, I went to a trust talk how to protect how to protect your assets. So I went to this meeting and they were all men, of course. And one of the men wanted to know if I was there looking for a husband. Okay. I know nobody would
Wow.
say that anymore. That nobody would go there, but they would go there. But
Wow.
they went there. So this one guy, weirdo, went there. But it has not been easy, especially when I was younger. I was more naive. Okay, so I would say the fact is there's predators everywhere, and women are prey many times. Women are also helped by really good men. Really good men will help you because that's like a natural thing. They want to help the women. So it's both. And so I would say a woman needs to be aware of who she's dealing with at any given time. Make sure you surround yourself with high quality people, vet them, do their background checks, whether that be a contractor, whether that be a person that you're thinking of becoming involved with as a partner in a business deal, whatever, vet everybody. Now that goes for men too. It used to be much more difficult when I was younger, right? Now I'm older, I command more respect. I have so much seasoning under my belt, and men don't usually like they usually have respect for me at this point, but they didn't when I was like in my 20s and I'm like bopping around with me. It's just a lot of energy, but not as much groundedness. I didn't have as much groundedness. And in some cases, so I went to the Commercial Academy last month in Cleveland with Scott Shield, and he was advising a man actually about being aware of predators out there. When the more money, the bigger the sharks. And there's a book, Greater Angels Among Us. I believe it's great. The Greater Angels Among Us, where it said violence is dissipating generally, but now the reality is they don't destroy people, they will take their money. And it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's actually real, is something to be aware of. But it's just a matter of being prudent with your decisions. I work with amazingly successful women. And what do? You get three quotes and three bids and find out exactly what is involved, and you do background checks, and you don't pay contractors up front for their work. You give them a little tiny bit and see how they perform, and then give a little bit more. I did a presentation on, I think it's on my YouTube channel. No, it is not. It's on how to protect yourself from scamming. Because
Hmm.
I've seen big time scammers like, wow, why aren't you on American Greed? And they should be millions of dollars. They're just scarfing it up from people because they're charming and they know what they're doing, and they just take from people who are less knowledgeable. This is real estate. So the number one thing I say with your lovely ladies, so they have you, that's good, right?
Yep.
Have people in your surrounds, men and women, who are high quality, who are honest and have integrity. And then you'll be fine. If you do that and then you do your own appropriate due diligence with your own deals, and you don't trust but verify, it's the same thing, male or female, right? You want to do the basics, but again, it becomes easier once you start getting some traction, what you're talking about, what you're doing, and then people will respect you if you do your work. You do your due diligence, you come onto the table with good questions, and you've done your evaluations. So that's all I got on that.
No, I appreciate that. So you definitely gave some good insights and maybe gave one, like I said. So you're in here looking for a husband, huh? That was
Yeah, yeah.
very intriguing. Yeah, okay. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
what did you say actually when he said that to you?
I said, no, I have one. No, I have one. I have one of them already.
Love it. No, that was great advice, especially for you. You really hit a lot of, you covered a lot of good points there, especially you gave great advice on any woman that is probably entering this industry now, or what to ask, what to look for. Definitely do your due diligence, but I think is very important. So I love how you covered all that very meticulously. So that's great. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit more about passive income. And I feel as if when I'm talking to people, and especially one of the people that is completely against passive income at all times, as I'm still surprised, is my father-in-law. But I guess when it comes down to it, like the truth about passive income, I don't know why some people don't like it, but then I do know why other people love it, and because it gives you a lot more freedom. So, why would you say, what do you think in your opinion, why do you think passive income is probably so often misunderstood?
Yeah, one of my tags is the myth of passive income and what's better, right? So I'll give you a great example. When I was first looking for a multi-unit house, it was in the 90s, and I was excited because I contacted a realtor and he said, "Oh yeah, my buddy bought a triplex and all he does is collect rents, and he bought a Jaguar with the rent." This is what hooked me. Right. I thought,
Mm.
oh, I can collect rents and drive a Jaguar. I can do this. If these are the qualifications to buy real estate, I can do this. So, long story short, I ended up buying a beat up house, fixing it up, and eventually it gave me passive income. But I just laugh because it's not passive when you're woken up in the middle of the night with your finding out that you have a waterfall coming in for your tenant's house and you have to go out in a snowstorm and fix it, right?
Yes.
But so passive income it is not a complete myth, but you have to be really smarter than that, right? So what is passive income? Okay, if you're a private money lender and you're working with somebody who has a verifiable track record and they have a great work ethic and they know what they're doing, and you just cut a check and you let them take that, and then you have great contracts with appropriate lawyers, and then they give you money back, that's wonderful passive income. I recently did a flip. We bought the house for 2 million. We put in 1.25 and we sold it for 4.8. And I was one of the passive income investors. And I got a big fat check at the end of it for doing nothing. Now I was also a general partner, so I was working and I got money from the actual flip, of course, because we had four partners. And but it was really fun. Just wow, I could buy a car with that passive income. That was exciting. So that's one way, be a private money lender. Another way, if you have real estate and you want to sell it, you can always be the bank. You can say, hey, don't go to the bank, just come to me. And yeah, and just I'll give you 5-6%. I'll extract 5-6%. I'll give you a rate, 5-6%, whatever it is. And then or you can say, look, I need $100,000 down and the rest we can finance. And then you immediately become the bank. Now you've just taken that asset, given the hassle to somebody else, and now you're collecting true passive income. Why do the banks make so much money? Why, like, the banks are the king of the top of the totem pole, king of the hill.
Yep.
That's the real passive income because your time is free now. I have a friend who makes 50,000 a month in true passive income as a bank, the Bank of Joe. It's not his name, but so, I could be the Bank of Ginger, whatever. So that's the passive income when you can become a bank. Now, to become a bank, you need to be a good underwriter because what are banks? They hire the best underwriters and then they train the underwriters. And so that's the true passive income. Rentals are semi-passive income. Once you get the properties up and running and they're stabilized, and then you have good property managers, good handyman, and whatever you have, they're fairly passive. They're like semi-passive, right? So if that's something really important to you to have real passive income, you shoot first for, depending on where you are how much money you have available. If you've got a lot of money to invest, you want to invest it wisely as a private money lender. If you don't have a lot of money, but you got some property, you can become a bank that way. And then if you're just starting out, make sure that the goal is to become a private money lender. You could start off doing the grunt work, as most of us do. Most of us do. And
Yes.
then you work your way up the ranks, and then that's where the passive income. But I'll tell you what, passive income is the best. It's the best.
I love the way you explain that. I've never heard someone explain passive income the way you have. And what I mean by that is explaining it such as to the point to where, okay, you want to be the bank yourself, you want to hold the note. Okay, you can hold the note. And then that would be true passive income because then you would ask for a certain amount upfront and then a certain amount per month for however many years. But then at the same time, whatever issues are with the house, it's no longer your problem per se. It's now, hey, you're the one buying this from me, so this is your problem. You take care of it. Welcome to owning a home,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And then obviously,
Nobody thinks that you can do that. Like, you can't really do that, but you can.
yeah, and I'll get a lot of calls sometimes and like, hey, can you guys hold the note? And I'm like, yeah, my client can't hold the note because my client already has a note on the property that he owes to the bank.
Correct.
So he can't hold the note on that. Or I have other people, no, you can. I'm like, no, you can't. And then arguing with them. But I love how you explain true passive income, where that sounds so much because then, like you said, the halfway passive income where, all right, you got the renter, but then you have all the problems that come with the renter and everything else. And then you get the house back, and then it's like, all right, they rented this for 2 years and they've messed it up. And now I gotta go and I'm dealing with that
Yeah.
right. I'm dealing with that
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
I have a client that had a renter in there for 3 years. We walked in the property. It looked horrible. Horrible. He just looks at me and goes, just put it on the market for sale. I don't even want it anymore.
I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done. He said, I'm done. I said,
Yeah.
put it on the market. He bought it back in 95. So he'll do fine on it, but he's like, I'm done. It just made him throw up. Yeah, so I love the way you explain that. You put that into a perspective that I've never heard before. Like now I understand true passive income compared to the half and half passive income,
Semi-passive income.
the semi-passive income. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were talking about protecting yourself from scammers and the people who are really sweet talking you. And you're talking about make sure that you always do your due diligence. Now, when it comes to you yourself and you're looking at a project and you're going through your due diligence, what is it that you're really doing through that whole due diligence process so you can save yourself from costly mistakes? Can you pass that on to the listeners and to us to see what is it that you dive into and what you're looking for?
Yeah, it depends on the asset. Okay, it
Okay.
depends on the asset. And so it depends on the situation. Now, yeah, it depends on the asset. So I'll just give you a few examples, but it definitely depends. Okay. So one is, let's just say you do have an opportunity for some passive income on a private money to become a private money lender. In that case, what is the asset? And is it Is it retail? Is it residential? Or is it commercial? Now that's a whole different universe. Now, within the commercial sector, you've got other sectors, right? You've got office, you've got retail, you've got industrial, you've got high rises. What are the locations? There's some mixed use. So everything is very specific and different. But just keep it simple. You've got a house, you know your area, it's in your backyard. Let's just say it's you that's selling it and you want the passive income. You need to vet the person like a bank. So I'm at the easiest answer is act like a bank. Okay. The more complex answer is learn to become an underwriter. What does that mean? Now, if you've ever had a loan, okay, the bank wants your bank statements, they want your tax returns, they want your credit score. If you have any issues with your credit, they want to know exactly why. They want letters. Are you having a gift letter? Now, this is what didn't happen in '05, and we know what happened there. Now, that could happen with your own portfolio if you're not a good underwriter, if you don't pay attention. So those types of things, basically you come to the point you do not trust. You come into deals excited, expecting to win, expecting to get a good deal. You get it into contract and then you flip. Now you become negative. You put your negative Nelly hat on. What could go wrong? What am I not seeing? Who do I not trust? Why don't I trust them? And you've got to do that, and it's got to be. And so in commercial, there's different criteria. Right now, I'm underwriting a property that they accepted my letter of intent to purchase a commercial place. And right now I'm doing all sorts of due diligence. Okay, the traffic count, what types of houses are on Google Maps, like what kind of houses are nearby? Are they mobile homes or are they mansions? Okay. What's the vehicles per day? It's not on a signalized corner, which is a deficiency that tends to be one of the things I want to have. So traffic stops and then I'll go into this place. So you're evaluating based on criteria that you need to learn. So basically, you need to learn. And for me to, in a podcast, to say all of these things, but they're learnable and they're out there. There are books on them. The Commercial Academy is awesome. They have books. This is what you look for, and this is how you dive in. Here's the due diligence. With a residential, you want to, and if you're dealing with partners, you want to go on to, for example, whitepages.com, see if they have any liens on them. When you go to a contractor, you go check them out, make sure that they have their license. Are there any complaints on them? Go on social media, see who's doing what on social media. That if there's somebody you're going to get involved in, research, find the dirt. Try to find the dirt on the deal, on the person. And if you can't find enough dirt, sometimes there are going to be things that are just like, I can live with that. And then you go on anyway. But other things, you're like, oh no, this is a red flag. So that's a broad answer, but it's a huge question. But the mindset it's the mindset. And if I could tell you, you want a good story on that?
I was just going to ask you that next.
Here's a great story. I have a friend who's a phenomenal underwriter. She is the bomb. She's like a silent assassin.
Okay.
So there was a deal I was looking at and evaluating, and here's the story. It's a mixed use property in a big city, and the realtors were saying, "Hey, this is empty, but this got shut down. This restaurant got shut down by the city, but the parent company is pushing in $32,000 a month, like clockwork. You can, while you're restabilizing the property, you get this free money, 32,000 a month." I'm like, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. The empty space, I can. So I call my assassin friend, and she goes, "Okay, what was the story on the being shut down?" I said, "Okay, they were having bar brawls like consistently. They were very busy. They were doing really well, but the cops are coming over and they would get citations and then they would just pay them and then be done with it. Eventually, the city warned them. The city said, you're going to shut down because you're a nuisance." They didn't pay attention. And they ended up getting shut down. So she says to me, okay, so they didn't pay attention. They're obviously not really good operators. If they don't have any integrity, What makes us think that they're going to continue paying this $32,000 a month? And I went, oh, what a good point.
Mm.
2 months later, the parent company stopped paying. Now, who would think that, right? Most people would just buy the story from the realtor and go and say, and actually put that money into there because they had a contract till 2031. So they say, hey, this is a free money, right? Then now they end up doing a buyout of some sort, negotiating with the seller because we stepped back. We just said, this is too crazy.
Mm.
It's too much hassle. I don't
Yes.
want too much hassle for me. But and for the price point and the risk, and there are other things too. But I thought that was the thinking that I really admired. That's how you want to think. You want to think, well, what could go wrong here? And then it ended up going wrong right after she said it. It was almost like it was just amazing.
And it's like common sense thinking, though, in a way, isn't it?
Maybe not for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're a Pollyanna thinker, if your common sense is positive thinking only, you've got it's like the power of negative thinking.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Power of Positive Thinking, and then an amazing coach, I forgot the guy's name, the legendary coach, created The Power of Negative Thinking right on the heels of that. So it's just two ways of thinking. And people have their natural, is the glass half full, is the glass half empty? To you, obviously, you're a good evaluator because you're saying it's common sense. But if it was common sense to everybody, there wouldn't be so many people who make crazy mistakes, right?
No, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. Two more questions. Now that we're talking about books, what are your top three recommended books for beginners that want to get started in investing in real estate or
Well,
looking
I
at
would say
passive income?
passive income. I don't think you need a book for passive income. Let me think. Let me think. Oh boy, I have no idea. Honestly, I'm a book reader, but I read books on business and
Audiobooks? Okay.
well, no, I read in general. I'm buying reading Buy Back Your Time right now.
Hey, so I just finished that book. I,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah, Diamond
love
Tell. It's a
it.
great book. Great
it.
book, right?
It is a great
Great
book,
book.
and I've already
Yeah, so I haven't been a
implemented.
beginner in so long. I haven't been a beginner in so long. I don't know what to recommend to a beginner.
Oh man, yeah. I've implemented already. So me and my VA, I'm like, all right, I have her now checking all my emails because I'm like, I need that off my plate. And which I learned from Buy Back Your Time. But yeah, that's actually an amazing book. So there's a lot of things now that I'm slowly implementing with my VAs. I just got another VA now because I'm like, I need to try to take back as much as I can because I really need to start just I'm taking too much on and I need to start trusting other people. And I'm seeing that it's hindering my growth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a recommendation right on the heels of that clean.email for 30
Clean
bucks a month,
dot email.
your email for you. And I am so in love with this program. It'll save you the VA's time. So now you're buying back your VA's time so you can reposition his or her time to something else. And yeah, it's like $30 a year. It'll clean your email for you. And you set it up.
$33 a year.
Yeah, $30 a year. It'll clean all your email. And so you can set rules like this is spam. Because a lot of times this stuff comes in, you try to spam them out and they backdoor you somehow.
Yeah.
And so this is create a rule, this is spam, or this needs to go into this folder or whatever. You set it up once and oh my God, it's great. I'm going to add my personal email onto it next, but it's done wonders for my brain.
All right. I'm definitely going to look into that. Clean
Yeah,
dot email. I love that.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure yeah.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. So one of the books that kind of got me involved in real estate investing was Robert Kiyosaki's book and Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I think a lot of people can say that. But the learning, but hearing from you, well, that's why I said when I heard like you talk about true passive income, you know what, to me, that sounds like more true passive income than just getting the rental checks. That's why I was like, when you said that, it was a light bulb that just hit. I'm like, man, she's right. That is true passive income at the end of the day.
That's why the banks do it.
Yeah,
That's why the banks liquidate, right?
100%. Yeah,
Mhm.
so we really should be following the bank's models.
Right.
You know?
Success leaves clues.
Everyone hates them, and I'm like, no, listen, they're actually really smart.
True,
Oh,
exactly.
no, I love
Exactly.
that. All right, last question, okay? If you can just leave one deed behind, one action, mindset, or even a lesson for every real estate professional or entrepreneur that's listening today, what would that be?
I'm gonna I'm gonna shroud this in a story that happened last week to me.
Okay.
Okay. One of my great mentors, I've had some phenomenal mentors in the world, and my current great mentor is J. Scott Shield from the Commercial Academy. And he's an extraordinary man on many levels. But one of the things he invited us to his castle on the lake for a beautiful grand party a month ago, about a month, less than a month ago, about 3 weeks ago in Cleveland, Ohio on Lake Erie. Magnificent. He like 150 people. I felt like I was at the Great Gatsby.
Nice.
What a joyful time. And so when I got back home, I posted some photos and said, "Thank you, Scott and Christine, for your beautiful party and being so generous and welcoming." And he posted on my timeline and he gave me some very sincere, kind, acknowledging compliments on who I am, on who I was. And for somebody of that stature to compliment me like that just touched me beyond. He just did a public declaration of complimenting me. And I thought, this man can be anything you want. He can be a jerk and maybe sometimes he is a jerk. We all have multiple parts of our personality, and business is tough. He has daughters, little daughters, and he believes in protecting them from the world. And at the end of the day, everything that we do is going to be taken over by somebody else.
Mm.
And if you believe that the only thing we have is our character and what we do every day and how we contribute meaningfully to somebody else, that's what I would say. Yes, do your best, work hard, work smart, set up your financial wealth and your foundation so that it doesn't matter anymore. So you can live life on your own terms. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is who you touch significantly. And that inspired me. So I reached out that very day. I reached out to several people and I gave them voicemail messages in acknowledging as he did. And then people were texting me back, "Oh my God, I love that so much. You brought me to tears." And I thought, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about really living a life that you can be proud of, that inspires people, and that it brings people together and we elevate each other. So that's my story, and that's my last thought.
I love that. That was very powerful. Very powerful. And I bet that made you just feel absolutely amazing. I can imagine.
It was beyond.
Yeah.
It really was, it really shifted me. Yeah, it was extraordinary compliment. I was like, Scott said that about me. And it's not the first time. But I understand that's it's important for him to leave a legacy of greatness. And so it's good. Those are the kind of mentors we want, right? Yeah.
100%. 100%. Ginger, I want to thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time today and giving us so many great nuggets. I'm sure the listeners are going to appreciate this just like I did. And guys, if you're listening or even watching, we are going to have all of Ginger's links on there, all the way from her website to her Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. So make sure you guys follow her. I know I will be. But Ginger, I just want to thank you again so much for being on the show and taking time out of your day.
Thank you very
So,
much. Pleasure.
guys,
It's a
thank you so
pleasure.
much for jumping on another podcast with us with the Mr. Deeds. Now, remember, actions actually build empires. Stay focused, stay hungry, and sometimes you just got to give life that little whammo. Guys, I'm Andreasen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mr. Deeds podcast show. Have a blessed day. This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.